Hello, class. And because I am such a good professor, um, I am going to, well, no one's here today. No one showed up for the Zoom recap. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this Zoom. I'm going to go through this recap or this review for the final exam because I want you guys to do the best that you can possibly do. All right. And I know that this review helps. So this will be posted on the dashboard or somewhere on the account so that you guys can be able to review this. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go through this quick. I want to let you know that it's probably going to be multiple choice and true and false questions. There will most likely be 25 questions. And what I am doing is walking through um, discussions and assignments from the very beginning almost to the very end. And I'm doing it chronologically. Okay. So as I walk through this review today, I am going to start, for example, with discussion two and just give you an idea of what the question will look like, all right, or how you can be able to study. So, for example, the first one is this. We'll just get going and you'll see what I mean. Discussion two. Okay. In this discussion, I talk about what the intertestamental period is in this lecture. Okay. And so the intertestamental period spans between what 2 points? Okay. Or what between what two things? Okay. So again, you go to discussion two, go to that lecture, and you'll be able to see, or really, these are questions that I've already asked, and so you may even be familiar with it, but just go ahead and look at your responses to these questions, okay? And you'll be able to find most likely what the answer is, okay? So that's the first one. Let's keep going. Another one in discussion two. In this lecture, um, we talked about Nebuchadnezzar as the ruler of Babylon. And we talked about the year that he took over Judah or conquered Judah. Okay, and so what year is that? Okay, in regards to Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians. Okay, let's keep going. Discussion three. Let's see here. Uh, we talked about in this discussion the state religion, okay, um, of the Romans in the New Testament. All right, and we talked about it in the lecture. I mentioned that it was a mix of two things. What two things was it a mix of? This Roman state religion that we see in the New Testament. What was it a mix of? Two things. Okay. Again, another one in discussion three. Another question. There were six sects, okay? And when I say sects, I mean sects, sects, okay? Or groups in the New Testament that came from Judaism or the Jewish religion. What were those six groups, okay? And so I want you to go ahead and look at those, review those, all right? Again, I'm not going to have you write these out word for word or just cold turkey memorize them. Again, there's going to be multiple choice and or true and false. So you just have to recognize what they are, not write what they are, okay? All right, going to Gundry in assignment one, okay? According to Gundry, um, the book of Mark was written for a Roman the book of Mark was written for who? I think I just gave you the answer. Okay. Who was the book of Mark written to? Okay. So just look under assignment one, find the answer to that. Um, all right. According to Gundry, again, this is assignment one, um, regarding the ending of Mark. Um, Gundry writes about what they called it. Um, Inferior traditions, add Mark 16 9 through 20, and they call it something. Okay. Again, Gundry uses that word inferior traditions. They add Mark 16 9 through 20, and they call it this. Okay. They call it the what? All right, again, assignment one. Matthew wrote the book of Matthew. Okay, who was his primary audience that he wrote the book to? Okay, who was his primary audience? Okay. All right, discussion four. All right, according to this lecture, according to me in this lecture, there were 3 years of Jesus's ministry. They're divided into three categories. Okay, what are those three categories? Okay, according to the lecture, 3 years of Jesus' ministry was divided into three categories. Okay, all you need to do is go back to this lecture and check it out. Okay, all right, so according to this lecture, Jesus called his disciples and those of his kingdom. All right, and we see this in the Sermon on the Mount. He called them to a what? A blank righteousness. Okay, what did I mention that he called them to? A blank righteousness. Okay, all right, assignment three. Uh, according to Gundry, Luke, okay, and this is in regards to the book of Acts. Assignment three, Luke slants the book of Acts towards who? Towards what group of people does Luke slant the book of Acts towards? Okay, next one. Um, the book of Acts, according to Gundry again, the book of Acts ends abruptly because whose story is not concluded? Okay, whose story is not concluded? All right, major themes. Again, this is assignment three. In the book of Acts, what are the major themes that you can be able to conclude? And you can just go ahead and look at the answer to that or go ahead and review Gundry. Okay. What are the major themes in the book of Acts? All right, let's keep going. Discussion six. Um, what were according to me in this lecture, according to this lecture, what were the Judaizers peddling? What were they promoting? They were saying that something specific, you needed this specific thing in order to be made right with God, which is really a false idea, false teaching. There were false teachers. They were saying that if you needed to be right with God, you needed to do this thing. What was it? Okay. Again, according to the lecture, um, Galatians, right? It's I say that there's a comparison that takes place. It compares two things with two other things. Okay, I say this in the lecture. Compares something and something to something and something else. Okay, what are the two and two things? Again, you don't have to. It's good to memorize it to know what they are, but again, just recognizing. Okay, is good. All right, assignment five. Let's see again, according to Gundry, the occasions of the writing of First Corinthians. Okay, according to Gundry. All right, again, this is one of the questions in this assignment. What are the occasions of the writing of First Corinthians? Okay, there's two of them, so just being able to recognize what those are. Okay, continuing on discussion assignment five. We're talking about the disunity in First Corinthians, derived from what? Okay, this is what Gundry calls it, but it was the church in Corinth were demonstrating loyalty to either Paul, Apollos, Cephas, or Christ, right? Cephas or Peter. But Gundry called it something. He said it's two words, right? What was it that they were doing? Okay. Another one on assignment five, according to Gundry, the what was part of the purpose of Paul's letter to the Romans? Okay, what was part of the purpose? Again, so I would encourage you to go back and read the purpose. Okay, and I'm going to give you a page number, 433 in Gundry, page 433. Go back, look at the purpose in Romans, and just familiarize yourself with the entire purpose. And then I'm going to write one or two of the purposes of the reasons for Paul writing his letter. And if you know what they are, you're able to recognize it and write, well, that's true or false, or this is what it is. Okay. So just familiarize yourself with that purpose. Okay. And all that is assignment 5. Okay. Let's keep going. Discussion 7. According to the lecture in discussion 7, what book is the most candid book in the New Testament? Okay. According to the lecture, what book is the most candid or sincere book in the New Testament? All right. This is discussion 7. Here's another one in discussion 7. The themes, okay, in Second Corinthians, what are they? Okay, what are the themes in Second Corinthians? Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count 6 themes that I list on the lecture when it comes to Second Corinthians. Let me count that one more time. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, did I just count that right? I just counted 7 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I count 7 themes. All right. Again, familiarize yourself with what they are, and you're able to recognize them, and you'll be able to either multiple choice it correctly or put true and false. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Assignment 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. Okay. According to Gundry, why does First and Second Timothy and Titus constitute the pastoral letters? Why are they called pastoral letter? These 3 books. Okay, what's the reason that they're called that? Right? Be able to recognize that. Another one is, what was the purpose in Paul writing his letter to Titus? Okay, what was the purpose according to Gundry? Okay, what was his purpose? I'm going to give you a page number there, 490. Okay, I don't do that every time, but I'll give it to you once or twice. Okay, what was Paul's purpose in writing these letters? Okay, be able to recognize what those are. All right, discussion 9. According to the lecture, Paul's letter to Titus was threefold. Okay, what were those 3 things? What were the 3 reasons for Paul's letter to Titus? Okay, next one on discussion 9. What according to the lecture, one of the reasons Paul wrote to Titus was to appoint what? To appoint what? Uh, when it comes in regards to this church plant that Titus was beginning. Okay, what was he needed to appoint what? Okay, all right. Assignment 9. According to Gundry, the addressees of the book of First Peter indicate a predominantly what? Okay, a predominantly what background? Okay, according to Gundry, the addressees of the book of First Peter indicate a predominantly what background? Okay, last one on assignment 9. According to Gundry, the main purpose of the letter of Jude was to fight firmly for what? Fight firmly for what? All right, guys, that is all I have. I am a great professor. I'm just kidding. Because I am giving you this, I'm being facetious a little bit. Even though no one came to the Zoom recap, I'm going to give you guys this lecture so that you can be able to review it and study it so that you can be successful on this test. Okay, who's this? Who's joining me? Martha, is that you? Can you hear me? I don't hear you very well.